Hello, Namaste. I'm Jaya Palashri, and I'm back again here to talk about boundaries. I'm sure everyone's busy. Everyone is uh, getting geared up for the festival. So, here, as I talk about boundaries and the importance of it, I did give a couple of talks on why we set boundaries and how we start setting boundaries and so on. One of the reasons why we set boundaries is for emotional well-being and for healthy relationships. It's very much needed. When we don't have boundaries, we can get overwhelmed, stressed, and it leads to a lot of disappointment and heartbreak. I think I have asked this question a couple of times in my videos. Do we need boundaries? Yes, it's very much needed. So we have various kind of boundaries that needs to be set. We need the physical boundaries. I'm not talking about our home and things. Those boundaries are very much there. I'm talking about physical boundaries in a relationship. It could be your spouse, your parents, your children, in-laws, friends, everybody. Boundaries have to be there. Point one. The next one is having emotional boundaries. You need to know where your boundary is and where you draw the line and how you need to work on it. The next boundary that is needed is boundaries pertaining to your well-being and your work. And of course, you need boundaries and space within yourself for various things that you choose. When we set boundaries, we understand where we stand and the other person starts respecting you. So by setting boundaries, you could even, if someone asks for something and your plate is full, it is okay to say no. It is okay to tell someone that I don't appreciate if you do this or say this to me. By saying this, you are setting boundaries and making it very clear that you respect your space, you respect your time. So boundaries are set for time, for space, for emotions, for physical, for everything. So for example, if when we set boundaries and we are constantly moving ahead, it does take a point on us, and we try to understand what is happening and why certain things are happening. It's okay when you say no. For instance, if you have somebody who is constantly bullying you, constantly making you do things and washing their hands off and not doing something, you have the liberty and the thing to say, listen, I cannot do it, and it's time you pull up your socks and do your own things. It's okay to correct someone and say that you do not like something. You do not have to do something just to please someone or to get their acknowledgement, their love. Because if you're doing that, trust me, you're not gaining it. Even if you're getting it, it's at a superficial level. What you need to get is a deep level of meaning and understanding, and only then will you be able to sustain and live with it. So setting boundaries is essential. It should be the way it goes. And it takes time, like I said. You work with your self-love first. And when you start understanding yourself, then it comes to the respect and the esteem and confidence. As you start understanding and as you start setting boundaries, it makes it that much more easy for you to move ahead and have healthy relationships. So you're setting boundaries with everything and everyone around you. This helps you maintain healthy relationships. In case if someone hurts you, when you have set boundaries, you are sitting in a space, yes, you're going through the pain, yes, you're getting hurt. So when I say when you set boundaries that you're not going to get hurt, what I'm saying is it would happen that you would get hurt, but you would deal with it in a better way, because you would be expressing yourself and saying, listen, I did not appreciate this. You should have not said this, and I didn't like it. So you are then and there setting it, saying that in future, you are not saying these things to me, I am not going to welcome it into my space. So boundaries is essential. To give you another instance, I think in early 2000, I would often talk to one of my friends, and often she would talk about space. So that time, space was fairly new to me, and I would often wonder why she would often say, "No, I didn't want to get into your space. No, I didn't want to, I wanted to give you space." I would think like, what kind of space is space for me, and why is that? And I'd often ask her, and she's like, it is needed to have healthy relationships. So when I would listen to that, I would contemplate and think about it. When I did my counseling course, the same topics were touched upon, and I started understanding the importance of space and how we define our space, and how we are okay with some people in our space and we're completely not okay having some people in our space, and how comfortable you need to be, and so on. As I started understanding, I started respecting. So further to that point, sometimes you may not want somebody in your space for whatever reason. It could be as close as your children, it could be your sibling, it could be your parent, it could be anybody. It's not because you don't love them, or it's not like that your love is reducing. It's just that at that moment, you just want to be in your own space doing whatever you are doing. It could be just reading a book, listening to music, watching movies, sitting with friends, or whatever else you would think about doing, going for a game, going for a workout, a walk in nature. You may not want to do it with whoever you think, and you just want to be by yourself, and that is absolutely okay. So when you define your space, it becomes that much more easy to set boundaries. Having your own space is essential, and do not clutter your space. So there are times, you might not speak to somebody for days together. It's absolutely okay. It's not like the end of the world, and it's not like saying that I don't care for you or I'm not bothered about you. It's just that saying, I respect my space and I'm giving you space, so I respect your space too. But when you pick up the phone, or when you get into the position of talking, you speak without any things about boundaries, but respect each other for what it is. We normally do it. We are all conditioned to do it. But at times we clash, and at times we ignore that we're in someone's space too much. So literally having someone in your face 24/7 can get to you and can create a lot of arguments and irritation and so on. So even if you have to go on a vacation with your family, or even if you have to sit at home, say for the weekend, so you have your Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, it's good that each one of you have your own thing to do. It's healthy that you take out space, and it could be that you're just sitting and watching a movie, maybe together or individually. Someone could be reading, someone could be doing some work, someone might step out, someone might just sit back and do something. It's okay, because these things help you balance your relationship in the long run. If I have to take on another situation or an instance, is in friendships. When you're constantly meeting every day, 24/7, you meet for breakfast and lunch and dinner, and you're in each other's space, you're constantly nagging, you're constantly gossiping, bitching, whatever the words you want to put into it. If you are in a space doing something like that, eventually it will come that, you start getting nosy and you start interfering in each other's life. So you start thinking that, because you're pouring your heart out so much, because you're saying so much, you're giving the other person the power and the right to come in and say, like, this is not right and this is the way you need to do, or, try to tell you something, and then you may really not like it. You may not want someone in your space to come and tell you, this is okay and this is not okay. So this is where the boundaries come in. I learned it the hard way, because I had, like I told you, I had no clue about boundaries, but then you learn and then you start working and you start putting things into place. So The first thing you do is define your space when you have to set boundaries. The second thing you do is start working on your self-love, self-respect, self-esteem, and confidence. And start noticing what are your triggers and to who all you've given your power to. When you start understanding that, it makes it that much more easy for you to start setting boundaries and putting your defined space. As you start doing that, stick to it. When you see there are triggers, when you see that something is not going right, something is not in space, please take a step back and look at it and ask yourself what's happening. And it's very easy to blame someone else for the unhappiness that's happening in your space. But at the same time, it takes a lot in you to accept and tell yourself, I am wrong here too. To put it in a simple way, we need two hands to clap. So similarly, in every relationship, it takes two people. So always the other person cannot be wrong. You could equally be in a position where you're wrong because you've given the person the power, you've given the person the control to dictate terms to you, to define terms to you. You have let them into your space. You've allowed things to happen to what it is. You've cluttered your space. So in a position like that, you cannot just blame someone else for something not going right. You are equally to be blamed for it not going right and things to be happening. When you start understanding this and start owning up to yourself and to your situation, it would help you to set your boundaries that much better. Every relationship, when you start setting boundaries, you will start seeing it's very easy for you at times to say, no, I don't want this. No, this is not okay. No, I am not comfortable with something like this. You would also start knowing how much you need to start leaving or letting each person into your space. You are not going to be going into anybody's space because you start respecting your own space. And as you start respecting your own space, you will start acknowledging and respecting the other person's space. So setting, defining, understanding is important. This would also help you prioritize. This would also start making you understand that you can't have the cake and eat it too. You would also know that you can't always keep your plate full and try to pile your plate with more food on it. These are beautiful examples that you could understand and hold on to, which would help you set healthy boundaries, which would put you in the right place. It would help you define your space. You would know when to allow each person in. You would also start understanding as you're working with your self-love and self-respect on how to start pulling back the control that you've given the others, which is triggering you. Like I said in my previous video, Rome is not built in a day. Similarly, by just setting one thing, oh, I'm done and now nobody's going to hurt me, you're living in a complete denial and delusion of whatever life is. It is working on yourself on everyday basis. Take time out, whether it's morning or evening. And every relationship, every day, you are setting boundaries and defining space. Because some you would allow them really close to you and some you would have kept them at a distance. You need to balance, you need to bring it back, you need to put things in order to have a healthy relationship. So with that, I think I've given 3 videos and episodes on talks of boundaries. With that, I would want to, in this session of mine, I want to conclude about boundaries before I move on to my next topic. If there are any questions more about boundaries, feel free to drop in a message and I would pick up the conversation and take it ahead. But I think more or less I've covered enough and I've given clear example and on how to do it and what needs to be done. So I look forward to my next session where I'm going to be talking about letting go. It's equally important. I spoke about going with the flow. I've spoken about boundaries. And now I'm coming to the point of speaking of letting go. Letting go is equally important for us. And I will get into deeper details of how important it is, and this also helps us set healthy boundaries. So when you go with the flow, you start understanding your space is defined and how to define space for yourself as well as others. This helps you set boundaries. As you start setting boundaries, you start noticing a lot of things are not needed in your space. And when you come into a space like that, letting go becomes that much more important and easy. So you could be in a space. In fact, I'm in the process of doing a 21-day exercise. If you look up my things on Insta or Facebook or on my personal WhatsApp, I have been speaking about letting go exercise for 21 days. It is so essential that we do that. We carry so much of baggage, so much of pain because of the relationships which have brought in bitter thoughts, bitter memories into our space. The reason is we hadn't set boundaries and defined space. So now my next talk is going to be about letting go, and up until then, I thank you all. Thank you for those who've joined in to hear this. I would love to get feedback. I always work with feedback, and it helps me put better points out to everyone. So looking forward to hearing from you all, and up until my next video, I wish you all a beautiful day and a week. Happy festival, and I pray that may the festival of light help in clearing all the darkness which is in your space, bring in positivity, happiness, peace, love in abundance to you all. God bless you all. Thank you so much.